Welcome back to another video. Today I woke up pretty early to go to the tint shop, so I just got my windshield tinted, and I'm hoping it's not too blurry because there's still some like water droplets on the windshield. But it got me thinking, like, man, I really love waking up early and just going on a drive because there's no traffic. And you're kind of just breezing through the freeway listening to music. You know, you just woke up, you have a little bit of I don't know, like dopamine. It's honestly very therapeutic. But anyway, that's not really the point of today's video. The point of today's video is to talk about frugality. I feel like there's a lot of people out there talking about saving money, you know, the importance of saving. One of those people is me. I make videos about saving money, the importance of saving money, blah blah blah. But today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. I want to talk about the importance of spending money. So I grew up in a pretty low income household. My mom is the cheapest person that I know. Okay, I can't think of like really good examples of her being cheap, but like, you know, every decision she makes is dependent on how much it costs. And I think her enjoyment of that activity or experience is dependent on how much it costs. I don't know if anyone else grew up in a family like that, but for example, if we go out to eat and the meal is $100, she's not going to enjoy it that much because she knows it's $100. But if the meal, you know, was a great deal and it was like $10, she's going to enjoy that $10 meal more than she will ever enjoy the $100 meal. That's just how her brain is wired. And, you know, because I grew up in that household, to a certain extent, that's kind of how my brain is wired. But in today's video, I want to talk about why that's a bad thing and why being too frugal is very harmful for your life. So, what is the point of money, right? The point of money is it's a tool, right? It's something you use to enrich your life. Now, in another video, I talked about how I view money as more of a defensive tool as opposed to an offensive tool. So what I mean by that is defensive as in it helps provide a defense around my life to protect me from bad things from happening. So if I lose my job, I'm not going to be homeless because I have money saved. But at the same time, it can also be used as an offensive tool. It can be used as a tool to enrich your life. It can be used as a tool to actually make yourself more money down the road. So for example, if you use that money to invest in yourself, invest in your education, take risks so that down the line you can earn more money, that is, you know, a way to use money. And I think the problem with having a very, very frugal mindset is you don't allow yourself to take on those risks with money in order to down the road generate more money, because your primary focus is to not lose money, and your primary focus is doing a cost benefit analysis of every decision you make to see if it's worth it or not. So, you know, obviously I think living like that can be very sad. And quite frankly, when I first graduated from college and I was trying to save up as much money as possible, I did live life like that. I would turn down social plans because I didn't want to spend money, and I would, you know, not go on trips because I was like, yeah, you know, it costs this much money and I'd rather save it and I would rather invest in the market. But now that I'm at the point in my life where I have a little bit more money saved up, I definitely view money as a little bit more of a tool to enrich my life, to enhance my life. And for me personally, the primary thing has been finding a hobby that I really love. So for me, that's tennis. And so for me, I'm very happy to spend my money on tennis, whether it's tennis lessons, new equipment, tennis, renting tennis courts, etc., because that enriches my life and it makes me happy, and ultimately that's kind of the point of money, right? And so, back to my mother, now that she's around 65, even though we're more financially secure than we were growing up, it's still very difficult for her to enjoy money, to spend it, to enjoy life. And that does make me really sad, because I want her to enjoy things in life, and obviously there are things in life she does enjoy, but it just seems so limited because her enjoyment feels so dependent on money, right? And how much things cost. And so that makes me sad. And I recently watched this video. I can't remember who the speaker was, but he basically said, when you spend money, what you should be thinking about is, does this make my life/world bigger or smaller, right? So if you're spending money to go out with friends, that makes your life bigger. Like if you're let's say you're going on a trip with some friends, that makes your life bigger, right? Because you're exploring more of the world, you're building deeper connections with your friends, you're potentially making new friends. That makes your life bigger, and that's a positive thing. Making your life smaller would be if you turned it down because you were scared to spend money. And so you turn down these opportunities to explore the world, to hang out with your friends. That makes your life smaller, and that's not a good thing, obviously. And so I think that's something to consider when you make a purchase. Is if you're like not sure on whether you should buy something or not, you just think, does this make my life bigger, or does it make it smaller? Does it enrich my life, or is it more of just like, are you buying this to impress someone, or is it truly going to enrich your life? So, for example, if you want to buy this new car, are you a car person? Are you really gonna get a ton of enjoyment out of owning this car? If the answer is yes, and you have the money for it, then yes, that would be a good decision for your life, to use your hard-earned money to buy something that would truly enrich your life. If you're buying the car to flex on people, that doesn't really enrich your life that much, and it's certainly, I don't think it's gonna make your life bigger. So I think there's a ton of content out there talking about saving money, and of course very, very important to save your money, but just as important to spend your money. You don't want to limit your life because you're trying to save so much money, right? And you certainly don't want to limit your experiences in this world, because life is so short and you just don't know when it's going to end. And man, it would just be so sad if you spent all of your life and free time thinking about saving money, and one day you just die and you don't get to experience all the joys in life because you're so worried about this social concept of money, right? So that's really the point of today's video. And also, I just wanted to record this video because this drive is super scenic and just super pretty. So I just wanted an excuse to record. If you don't want to listen to me, just put me on mute and just enjoy this great scenery. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am in life. I'm trying to obviously save money, but also actively finding ways to put my money to make my life richer, to make my life more joyful, right? And it's just really important, because if you don't do that, you're going to burn out, and you might end up depressed, right? You end up with a lot of money and you just be depressed. And I think it's important to build these habits also when you're younger, because as you get older, kind of like my mother, it's going to be harder for you to change that mindset of yours, right? So yeah, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to spend money. As long as you're being reasonable, as long as you're being responsible, go take that class that you want. Go take that trip. Go learn a new skill, right? Don't be afraid to invest money learning a new skill, a new hobby. Because at the end of the day, that's what money's for. It's to make your life better. The point of money isn't to save it. The point of money isn't to see your net worth get higher and higher every month. Like, yeah, that's kind of fun, but what's the point of that if you can't enjoy it, if you can't spend it? Yeah, and I think also, especially when it comes to investing in yourself, like, that's so important, right? Like, if you're solely focused on just like saving money, like, you're not going to become like super wealthy just like saving your money. Like, you have to take risks in life. You have to, whether that risk is investing in the stock market or just like investing in a new skill, a new career pivot, like, you have to take risks. That's just part of life. And even if you think about like all these successful businesses and corporations, these corporations, they're not saving their money. They're using the money that they earn and they're reinvesting it in the business. And they're exploring new opportunities, so that down the line they generate, more revenue. And I think that's kind of how you should look at your life as well. Like, the point isn't to save. You got to find new opportunities to invest, and you just gotta enjoy life. That's really it. So I think that is going to conclude my video, because we are in balls deep traffic and the scenery is no longer as pretty. So I'll end the video with that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys found this helpful, useful, insightful. Yeah, thanks for watching.